Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling probably one of the most notorious figures of the 20th century, Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, a name that just instantly makes you think of terror, destruction, the worst parts of history.
Exactly. But what we want to do in this deep dive is go a bit beyond just the headlines, the major events everyone knows.
Right. We want to dig into the person, his personal life, what might have been going on psychologically, how his, fanatical ideas actually developed.
And also place him in that wider context of fascism, which is crucial.
Absolutely. And for you listening, we've gathered insights from a whole range of places. We've got historical analyses from History.com, Britannica.
But also things like raw interview transcripts, insights into his personal life from channels like History and the Infographics Show.
Yeah, the goal is really to pull out the key pieces of information, give you a solid, nuanced understanding of how someone like this could actually come to power and cause such, devastation.
We want you to walk away really feeling informed. So let's start at the beginning. His early years, you can already see some threads appearing there.
For sure. He was born April 20, 1889, in Braunau am Inn, Austria. And the family situation? It was complicated.
Yeah, his father, Alois, he's often described as pretty harsh, domineering, maybe even abusive. There's speculation about that.
Right, while his mother, Clara, was apparently very doting. Some sources suggest this created a really intense bond, maybe even too dependent.
But it's interesting, the family wasn't struggling financially, not really.
No, Alois had a pension from being a customs official, so they were relatively stable. But Clara, she went through immense personal tragedy.
Losing 4 of her 6 children, that's unimaginable.
Absolutely. Diphtheria, other illnesses. Only Adolf and his sister Paula survived to adulthood.
And Paula's accounts later, they're quite revealing, aren't they?
Yeah, she talked about Adolf being a bully sometimes.
Yeah.
She even wrote something like, "Once again, I felt my brother's hand land on my face." Pretty chilling.
Wow. So you see that harshness, but also profound loss in the family background.
Exactly. And despite Alois maybe not approving, Clara really supported Adolf's artistic side.
He wanted to be an artist, right? He loved sketching, even played piano a bit.
He did. But then came the big rejection from Vienna's Academy of Fine Arts. Twice.
Ouch. That must have stung.
Yeah, and it led to him really struggling in Vienna, just scraping by, painting postcards, ads.
And this is the period, isn't it, where people say he started forming those dangerous ideas, anti-Semitism, anti-communism.
Well, yeah, that's the common view. He was exposed to a lot of radical thinking in Vienna, though some historians think his really intense anti-Semitism maybe hardened later, perhaps in Munich. It's debated.
But Vienna was definitely a tough, formative time, and then came another huge blow.
His mother's illness. Clara got breast cancer in 1906. The treatment back then, experimental chemotherapy. It sounds agonizing.
And he went back from Vienna to care for her.
He did. Watched her decline. She died in December 1907. And the impact on him seems profound.
The family doctor, who was Jewish, interestingly.
Right. And Hitler supposedly helped him emigrate later, maybe as thanks.
Yeah.
But that doctor said he'd never seen anyone so prostrate with grief as Adolf Hitler.
Wow. He carried her picture always, apparently. Made her birthday a national holiday later.
It's this strange mix, isn't it? This deep personal grief and then the later monstrousness. It makes you wonder how rejection and loss might have twisted things.
Yeah, his sister Paula saw that too. She mentioned his bullying, but also remembered his overflowing tenderness towards their mother when she was dying.
And her theory about his anti-Semitism, that it came from his time starving in Vienna, blaming Jewish art dealers.
It's incredible that even she found it hard to believe he ordered the Holocaust, saying she didn't think he knew about the camps or ordered the crimes.
It shows how complex denial can be, even for family.
But then you get a completely different family view from his nephew, William Hitler.
Oh yeah, the British nephew. He caused quite a stir.
Blackmailed his uncle, wrote that article, Why I Hate My Uncle, for Look magazine in '39.
Talk about puncturing the image. He revealed all sorts of unflattering details. Dandruff, temper tantrums.
He called Hitler's brutality vengeful and described him as incredibly controlling, even with family. Couldn't even go out without permission.
That pattern of control, it's a chilling foreshadowing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Personal tyranny scaling up.
Absolutely. And that possessiveness, that control, it leads us into some really dark territory in his personal life, like the story of Geli Raubal.
His half-niece. Yes, that's a deeply disturbing story. He was apparently obsessed with her.
And her death in 1931. Still so many questions. Found shot with his gun nearby.
Suicide. Or something else. The speculation has always been there, rumors she might have been pregnant.
And his control over her was intense, right? Forbidding her to see his own chauffeur, Emil Maurice.
Yes, whom he fired over it, though Maurice somehow stayed in the SS. Hermann Goering apparently said Gelli's death really changed Hitler's relationships, calling her his only truly deep love affair.
The whole thing was hushed up, wasn't it? Didn't a journalist investigating it end up executed?
Fritz Gerlach, yeah. He investigated, seized evidence, and was later killed at Dachau. It shows how far Hitler would go to protect his image, even then.
So disturbing, and it brings up the whole question of his sexuality, which is full of speculation.
It really is. Theories everywhere. Asexual, maybe closeted, homosexual.
Yeah.
There were rumors from his WWI record about that.
Right. A lawyer claimed he saw files suggesting that, and maybe that's why he didn't get promoted. Some even think the Nazi persecution of gay people was some kind of cover-up.
It's highly speculative, of course. But then you have these other stories, relationships with women, like the actress Renate Müller.
She committed suicide in 1937, and there were dark rumors about that, too.
Yeah, suggestions linking it to disturbing requests from Hitler, referencing texts like psychopathia sexualis, again, hard to verify, could be propaganda.
But the pattern, the control, the possessiveness, it seems consistent. Women close to him often seem depressed, suicidal.
It paints a picture of someone deeply controlling in his private life, mirroring the public tyranny to come.
Okay, moving away from the purely personal, let's touch on something documented. His drug use.
Ah, yes. Theodor Morell, his personal doctor. His notes are pretty revealing.
We're talking heavy stuff, right? Opiates, methamphetamine.
Eucadol, which is a powerful opiate, yeah. Meth, cocaine, barbiturates. It's all detailed in the book Blitzed.
And this must have affected his judgment, his behavior, especially later in the war.
You'd have to assume so. Contributing to erratic behavior, physical decline. Plus, he was apparently a massive hypochondriac, taking tons of pills.
He thought he wouldn't live long. Did that speed up his plans for war?
Some historians suggest that, yeah, that feeling of urgency. People have tried to diagnose him from afar: hysteria, paranoia, narcissism, psychopathy.
But does a diagnosis really explain it, or was it conscious evil?
That's the debate, isn't it? His brutality seems calculated, cold. But he also had this, uncanny memory and ability to read opponents. The drugs just add another layer of complexity. How much did they warp his thinking?
It's a disturbing thought. Okay, so let's pivot. How did this person actually start climbing the ladder to power? His military service seems key.
World War I, definitely. He served eagerly as a runner, found the discipline, the comradeship appealing, confirmed his belief in war's heroic virtues.
And he was decorated for bravery, right? The Iron Cross First Class.
Yes, warred till the end, but Germany's defeat, that hit him hard. Very bitterly.
Then he bought into that whole narrative.
The stab-in-the-back myth. Absolutely. Blame traitors at home, Jews, Marxists, not the Allied armies. This completely poisoned the atmosphere of the post-war Weimar Republic.
And we have early proof of his extreme views from back then.
Yes, the Gramlich letter from 1919 is one of the earliest pieces of writing we have from him, showing his stance on the uncompromising removal of the Jews altogether. Chilling foreshadowing.
So after the war, he gets involved in politics in Munich.
Right. Joins this tiny group, the German Workers' Party. In 1919, quickly rises up thanks to his speaking skills, his charisma, renames it the National Socialist German Workers' Party, the Nazis.
And the swastika, that was his idea.
Yeah, designing the flag, using that ancient symbol and twisting it. Pure propaganda genius. In a dark way.
He also set up the SA, the stormtroopers.
Under Ernst Röhm, yeah. Basically, party thugs to protect meetings and beat up opponents.
Which leads to the beer hall putsch in 1923, the failed coup attempt.
Failed, yes. But it put him on the map nationally, landed him in prison, but paradoxically made him a hero to many on the right.
It's weird how failure can sometimes launch a career like that.
It really is. He turned imprisonment into an opportunity.
Because that's when he wrote Mein Kampf.
Dictated it, technically. My struggle. And yeah, it's the blueprint. Lays out the nationalism, the rabid anti-Semitism, the Aryan supremacy myth.
The Lebensraum idea needing living space in Eastern Europe.
Exactly. And the idea of the Volk, the German people, united under one supreme leader, the Führer.
And the language he uses, comparing people to germs, parasites.
Dehumanizing them.
Making it easier to, justify killing them later. He knew what he was doing with words. And then the timing. The Great Depression hit.
Perfect storm, really. 1929 onwards, Global economic chaos, huge instability in Germany. People were desperate.
Fertile ground for extremism.
Absolutely. And Hitler was brilliant at exploiting that desperation. He maneuvered politically, got support from powerful conservatives, industrialists. They thought they could control him.
Big mistake. January 30th, 1933. He's appointed chancellor by President Hindenburg.
The so-called birth of the Third Reich. They aimed for a 1,000-year Reich. And from that moment, he moved incredibly fast to consolidate power, ruthlessly.
The Reichstag fire, February 33. The parliament building burns down.
Conveniently blamed on communists, used as the perfect excuse to suspend civil liberties, crack down on all opposition.
Followed by the Enabling Act in March.
Which basically gave Hitler full dictatorial powers. No need for parliament anymore. Game over for democracy.
And then he just eliminated everyone else.
Pretty much. By July 33, all other parties, trade unions, gone. Nazi Party's the only one allowed.
And then the Night of the Long Knives in 34, turning on his own people.
Yeah, purging rivals within the Nazi Party itself. Ernst Röhm, the SA leadership, murdered. Consolidating his personal control.
And when Hindenburg died later that year.
Hitler just merged the jobs of president and chancellor, became supreme commander of the armed forces, absolute power, achieved through a mix of legal tricks, political deals, and pure violence.
And with Germany firmly in his grip, he turns outwards, unleashing this ideology on Europe.
Starting with the core of it all, his obsessive anti-Semitism and the pursuit of so-called Aryan supremacy.
Which directly fueled the Holocaust. The murder of 6 million Jews and millions of others, too.
The steps were chillingly systematic. First, the Nuremberg Laws in 1935, stripping Jews of citizenship rights, making them outcasts in their own country.
And then the shift from trying to expel them to just extermination.
Around 1941, yeah. You see the Einsatzgruppen mobile killing squad start operating, especially in the East.
In the concentration camps. They became death camps.
Places like Dachau, initially for political prisoners, were joined by camps like Auschwitz-Birkenau, built specifically for mass murder through gas chambers and forced labor. Horrific medical experiments, too, like Mengeles.
And it wasn't just Jews targeted, was it?
No. Catholics who opposed the regime, gay men, political opponents, Roma people, people with disabilities, anyone deemed undesirable or a threat.
And there's no real doubt Hitler was behind this.
Historians overwhelmingly agree he was the principal driving force, responsible for starting the war and for the Holocaust. His speeches, writings, his final testament, it's all there.
That Reichstag speech in January 39, basically promising annihilation.
Explicitly, the annihilation of the Jewish race in Europe. He said it outright.
Alongside this internal terror, there was external aggression, constantly pushing boundaries.
His foreign policy was all about tearing up the Treaty of Versailles. Opportunistic, timing his moves carefully.
Remilitarizing the Rhineland in 36.
Faking alliances with Italy, Japan.
Yeah.
Annexing Austria, the Anschluss in 38.
Taking over Czechoslovakia piece by piece.
First the Sudetenland through the Munich Agreement in 38. Then the rest of Czechia in March 39. And the West, Britain and France, largely just let it happen. Appeasement.
Which just emboldened him more, leading straight to
World War II. The non-aggression pact with Stalin in August 39 was the final piece. Then, September 1st, 1939, invasion of Poland.
And that finally triggers war declarations from Britain and France.
And his blitzkrieg lightning war tactics were devastatingly effective at first. Norway, Denmark, Holland, Belgium, France, all fell rapidly by June 1940.
He thought Britain would sue for peace then, didn't he?
Seemed so. When they didn't, it led to the Battle of Britain, the air war.
Then the war just massively expands.
Huge turning point. Invading the Soviet Union in June 1941. Operation Barbarossa started the biggest land war ever.
And then declaring war on the U.S. after Pearl Harbor.
December 1941. Following his pact with Japan, a massive strategic gamble, really, taking on both the Soviets and the Americans, probably sealed his fate.
Because eventually the tide did turn.
Definitely. Late 1942 is key. Big defeats for the Axis at El Alamein in North Africa, and crucially, Stalingrad on the Eastern Front.
And as the military situation worsened, Hitler himself was declining.
Becoming more isolated, apparently unwell, heavily reliant on Morell's drugs, his judgment likely suffered.
There was even an assassination attempt from within his own military.
The Stauffenberg plot, July 1944, failed, but showed the cracks appearing. Then D-Day, the Allied invasion of Normandy in June 44.
The liberation of France, pushing back across Europe.
Hitler's last big offensive, the Battle of the Bulge in December 44, failed too. The end was clearly coming.
And his final days, spent in that bunker in Berlin.
Yeah, under the Chancellery, Soviets closing in. strange final acts, marrying Eva Braun just hours before the end.
Dictating his political will, blaming the Jews again.
And then, April 30th, 1945, suicide. Shot himself, Braun took poison, had their bodies burnt.
Germany surrendered unconditionally just days later, May 7th. War in Europe over.
That 1,000-year Reich lasted just over 12 years. But the destruction, unimaginable, changed the world forever.
That's staggering. Now maybe we should zoom out a bit and talk about the ism here, fascism. Hitler wasn't the only one.
No, definitely not. Fascism as an ideology, a mass movement, it was a major force in Europe between the wars, roughly 1919 to 1945. The term itself comes from Mussolini in Italy.
So what are the common threads? What makes something fascist?
Well, there are variations, but generally you see extreme militaristic nationalism, a deep hatred for democracy, liberalism, belief in a natural hierarchy, rule by elites.
And this idea of the Volksgemeinschaft, the people's community.
Right, where the individual means nothing, the nation is everything. Often very opportunistic policies, highly authoritarian, fiercely anti-communist.
And often built around hating a specific group, like the extreme anti-Semitism and Nazism.
Exactly, these demonologies are common.
And it wasn't just Germany and Italy. Where else did we see these kinds of movements?
Oh, plenty of places. Austria, Portugal, Spain, under Franco, heavily influenced by the fascist Falange Party, Hungary, Romania.
Even Britain had Oswald Mosley's Union of Fascists.
Belgium too, and outside Europe, South Africa, parts of the Middle East, Japan's militarists, the blue shirts in China, movements in Latin America.
Even echoes in the US, groups like the KKK or the German-American Bund.
Yeah, elements overlapped. It's important to remember though, scholars still debate the exact definition of fascism. Was it radical? Conservative, rational, irrational. Different experts emphasize different aspects.
It's complex, not monolithic.
Definitely. History is rarely simple.
So wrapping this up, we've gone through Hitler's life, from the personal struggles, the character flaws, the weird mix of traits,
to his calculated rise, seizing absolute power, and then unleashing just unprecedented destruction.
He really does remain this symbol of evil for so many. The power he wielded was just off the charts, technically, and in scope.
And that Reich he promised for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Gone in 12, but the damage still felt today. A massive scar on history.
So, thinking about everything we've discussed, the contradictions in Hitler himself, the personal issues, the charisma, the political skill, the sheer horror he unleashed, maybe the final question for you to ponder is this.
What does this deep dive really tell you about how vulnerable societies can be? And about that potential that seems to exist within human nature itself, for both incredible good and for, well, unspeakable evil?